The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
You know, Dave, I'm just not wrecking enough people. I need to wreck more people so they'll stop throwing bad blocks. And that's what's happening to me on the white track. So, you know, everybody that's watching, all them drivers out there, throw another bad block. I mean, I'm just going to drive through you and wreck you, so look out until they...
Welcome to episode 68 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how's it going today?
It is going.
How did you enjoy the Ricky Stenhouse Demolition Derby on Saturday night?
The hashtag Ricky Stenhouse DD, as Kurt Busch put it on Twitter.
Oh, it was a good time, wasn't it?
He was in the middle of all the action, that's for sure.
He was. I didn't pull up the official race report, but I believe they said 6 or 7 cautions he was involved in.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in there.
Definitely got to sponsor some time on TV, so that's good. I mean, if you're not going to win, that's the way to do it.
I've got 5 according to Racing Reference.
Okay.
5 cautions.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good night there.
Yeah, 5 cautions in a 105 lap span. So
there you go.
That's great.
So we had the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Speedway, and for some reason Daytona, especially the July race at Daytona, has become the crash fest of the NASCAR schedule. And, you know, we go to Talladega and we're all, oh my gosh, we're going to have the big one. We're going to have a couple big ones. And we get 1, maybe 2. But at Daytona, we get like 12. And It didn't disappoint this week. But I guess before we get into the crashes, because we always do that, we always talk about everything else, we had a first-time winner this weekend. And Eric Jones gets himself a victory for the first time in the Cup Series. How about that?
Yeah, we got to give... that Jones boy?
Yeah,
we got to give that Jones boy some credit, man. He finally got the monkey off his back, got that first W. Awesome.
Did you hear what Martin Truex Jr. said?
Refresh me.
He said maybe now the ISC people will be happy because the ISC, the president of ISC or something like that, made a comment earlier in the week that there's not enough star power, not enough of the younger drivers are winning.
My goodness.
So Truex took a little shot at him. I like that.
I
like a little fire from Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, that's good. I'm on Martin Truex's side of that. I don't. The young guy's winning is not going to give you the star power you.
No, that's what he said. Is he said that because the young guys aren't winning enough, they're having trouble selling tickets at the ISC tracks.
Oof.
So yeah.
Wow. Well. Well, he got the job done.
Right. So Eric Jones makes ISC happy, gets himself a win. I mean, kind of by default because there were, 7 cars left at the end of the race. But
yeah,
he still managed to survive with a damaged car and get himself the win and battled pretty hard at the end to get it. Beat Martin Truex Jr., who had pretty much a flawless car, one of the only cars that wasn't damaged at the end of the night. And just, made the move, man. I mean, he got it done when he needed to get it done and got himself the win.
He survived the vicious shot from Chris Buescher that gave him everything he needed to propel to the lead, which was the race itself was super eventful, but the finish was, once he got out there, at that point it was over. He was gone, and there was no catching him. So
right, and it's easy to say, well, he got the lead and nobody could pass him, but Truex was able to make some moves on his own Saturday night
Truex
that
good,
nobody's been able to do since Dale Jr. back in the day.
Yeah, he had a good car.
He would go to the inside, and usually you need help down there, and he just didn't need any help. He'd just come through the field, and it was quite impressive. And I thought for sure, it was going to be another one of those weekends where we're like, well, one of the big three is going to, especially when we get to the end, and Truex is up there, Harvick's up there. It's like, oh, man, one of these guys is going to win it again.
Yeah.
And Eric Jones plays the spoiler.
Yeah, and you got to think when all the big dogs are gone, because you think about it, Martin Truex Jr. is the only legit, you look at the guys who finished this race, he is by far the only legit contender running at the end. So to have a shot to get a win when everybody else has crashed out, he's probably kicking himself a little bit that he didn't get it done, but still a solid day. He looked really good. That was probably the best super speedway race I've seen him run since the Daytona 500 a couple years ago when he lost it by just a nose.
Right. Yeah, it was a very eventful race at Daytona. I don't think there was a boring part. James, did you watch the whole thing? I wasn't ever like twiddling my thumbs wondering if something was going to happen. I mean,
I was in and out, but I watched a pretty big majority of the race. I saw Stenhouse take the stages, and then I watched the last stage through the entirety. So
I mean, there were a couple periods where they went single file, but they didn't last long. I think part of it is, well, one is obviously the craziness of Daytona. Two is that it's a shorter race. You've got 100 miles less than the other restrictor plate races, and so you don't have that time to sit around. And
we talked about that. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
That the 400 seems to be one. It seems to be a harder race to win and survive.
Right.
But I think a lot of that has to do with exactly what you just said. Is there's an urgency there, especially with the hot summer temperatures. The slickness of the track comes into play too. So, man, that was just a great show. I know it was a wreck fest, and I'm not one to enjoy wreck fest all that much, but we've had 2 weeks in a row here where we've had some pretty entertaining Cup Series races.
Definitely. It's a good time to be a NASCAR fan. NBC's got to be loving this so far. They come on board and kill it here with a couple great races. I like crashes. We've discussed that. I like restrictor plate racing, but to me the crash level was a little higher than I prefer.
Oh, yeah.
I do like to see some cars running at the end. I thought it was interesting that you have all these guys that were up front, they had these opportunities, these underfunded teams, but look at who ended up battling for the win anyway. I mean, Eric Jones, sure, he hasn't had a win yet, but he's run well, and he's running, one of the best cars out there with the JGR car. So again, the cream rises to the top, and you can wreck as many cars as you want. You can give the underfunded teams as much of an advantage as possible to get them even with the big guys, and the big guys still come out on top. So I think that tells you something. I think that tells you something about, restrictor plate packages and this whole, Brad Keselowski thing that the best drivers can't show their stuff if they're running restrictor plates and blah blah blah. I think they still can. I mean,
no, I think good restrictor plate drivers are always going to rise to the top, and when you're at the restrictor plate tracks, sometimes you're going to crash out.
Right.
I mean, that's just going to happen from time to time. But
especially if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on the track.
Boy, he's going to catch it. I don't know how he's going to. He went from the goat to the goat, if you know what I mean.
Right. Well, the thing is the problem is the way he won it before, the way he won it last year when he got his 2 wins, is being super aggressive.
Well, let's talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. then, because that's exactly the point I wanted to get into it with you. What is he supposed to do? He's got to be aggressive. This is his only, well, not his only chance, but this is probably his last shot to make the playoffs on a win.
Right.
And he's got to be aggressive. Has to.
That's true. But here's the thing. I'm looking
Still had a good day if you think about it. He scored 40 points for the race, which was tied for the most of anybody else.
The problem with it is, and I'm trying to find where it happened here, what lap. I mean, we weren't to the end of stage 2 yet when. Let's talk about the accident that truly was his fault, because I don't feel the first accident was 100% Stenhouse's fault.
That was William Byron's.
He was part of the deal, but it was not. I mean, it came off his bumper, but it wasn't.
Racing.
Yeah, that was pack racing. But the second one, and yes, he pushed up. I get it. He was pushing. You can see the in-car camera where he's trying to steer into it. Mm-hmm. But the second the crash with Kyle Busch and William Byron, that was all Stenhouse. That was totally his fault. And my issue isn't that he's being aggressive, because yes, he's got to be aggressive, but he's being aggressive really early. And that's what's interesting about these. And I realize you need to see what your car's going to do, but man, the aggression just starts so quick.
Well, and to be fair, he was doing the right thing. He won the first 2 stages. So it was working. He was staying out of trouble. It's just he doesn't know how to dial.
No, he wasn't staying out of trouble. He just happened to not get collected in the wrecks he was a part of starting.
For sure, yeah, and that's part, and that's part of it too.
And then he got it back later when Kyle Larson spun, and out of nowhere he collects Stenhouse. Of anybody,
Right. Well, and you can race that aggressive and get the stage wins and maybe win some races, but at what cost? Because now he's being dragged, and and deservedly so. I think if you're that aggressive, you're causing trouble out there. You're gonna, your fellow competitors are not going to look very highly upon you, and it'll come back to bite him again.
Right. At least he's got a couple wins to show for it unlike Jamie McMurray.
Right.
So, but I don't know. It just, it's that balance that if you're going to be that aggressive and you're going to cause that kind of stuff, you have to win it on your own. Then you're not going to get help because people aren't going to help you.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between his aggression and Kyle Busch's aggression 1 week prior.
Right.
Totally different situations. Kyle Busch's aggression is, basically a clean last lap pass.
Exactly.
He's just kind of shoving Larson up the track. But on the other hand, Stenhouse is just reckless.
Right.
Middle of the race, causing a whole bunch of trouble. It's, we've seen this happen with drivers throughout the history of the sport, and Ricky will probably, he'll correct it.
Right.
And move forward, and he'll be fine. But yeah, I don't
know. It's hard though because he's got a reputation now. He's already had a reputation for being aggressive. Now he's got a reputation of, regardless of how many were his fault, he, like you said, 5 wrecks he was involved in Saturday night. That's gonna stick with him going into Talladega in the fall. And
my buddy Derek Winter did a hashtag. What was it? Recky Spinhouse.
Nice.
So he says basically he said Ricky's involved in crashes every week. I don't understand. So he's not quite in wrecks every week, but it seems like it after this one. His average is definitely up. That's for sure.
Right.
Did you see? I was going to bring this up really quick too. Did you see Nate Ryan's story on NBC Sports about how many cars have been in incidents at Daytona over the last 2 years?
No, was that Nate Ryan? I thought somebody said it was Dustin Long.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Yes, Dustin Long. I think Nate Ryan retweeted it. My apologies. Yeah, Dustin Long wrote it.
I heard Jeff talk about it on his pod. Or no, I heard it on Sirius this morning. They were talking about it, but they didn't go into depth. So
318 cars. This includes the Truck Series and Xfinity as well. 318 vehicles in the past 2 years. This tops the previous 2-year total by 45 cars.
Okay.
So that just shows you, it gives you kind of a picture of the carnage. If you can imagine 318 NASCAR race cars piled up, that's a lot of carnage.
So, and then one of the things that people end up talking about then that I've heard people talk about a lot is look at all that money that was wasted. Look at all that money that was spent. So I'm gonna play a game here. We have the Do You Care, and we actually have one this week. It's later in the show. There's a couple other topics we're going to talk about today that we can also use as a Do We Care. And so that's my question is, as a fan, should I care how much these teams are spending on these cars to tear them up?
No.
Okay. I agree with that. And, Chocolate Meyer said on Sirius earlier this week, too. Yeah, exactly. I heard Chocolate say, it must have been yesterday, I heard him say, the fans shouldn't care about that. And these cars anymore, for the most part, are disposable. So most of these guys aren't running, even if they didn't get a nick on them. Let's say Martin Truex, there's no damage on that car. They're not running that car at Talladega. They're going to tear the body off of it. They're going to put a new body on it. So, sure, there were some cars that were totaled that you aren't going to attach a new body on. You're not going to replace the clip on. But that's not for us to care about at all. You don't worry about how many, Chocolate said, you don't go to a baseball game and worry about how many bats they break. You don't, it's just, obviously that's a big difference. But,
right.
I don't care what it costs to put the field in at Soldier Field.
They've got money to participate, and you're in this sport. You need to know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Remember when Dale Jr. had that super speedway car he really liked? It was, 2015, maybe 2015? I don't know if you'll recall this. For some reason, I'm remembering it, and I don't know why. But he kept bringing this car to restrictor plate races every year, and finally, I think it was the 2015 Daytona 500, that car just aged out.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And I think, I think that car was
Didn't he crash it once too? I feel like he crashed it a couple times.
He kept bringing that car back, and I think that's just an example of that car was maybe 2 years old.
Right.
And it just aged out. And these teams don't let these cars. No. Joe Gibbs Racing's not letting cars age out. They're, they have too much on the line. They're gonna be cycling them through.
And Front Row Motorsports, that money affects them a lot more than it affects the other teams. But again, they're in this league to do what they're doing. They don't have to race in that pack. They don't have to run the race. That's not our problem to worry about.
No, it's like a any other athlete that goes out there and breaks an ankle or whatever.
Right.
It's
They know the risk.
Yeah, that's the risk of sports. That's the same thing with anything else. And you think about it, that's just as expensive of a if you're a high profile athlete and you go through a serious injury, that's just as expensive of a process as probably building a race car.
Right.
By the time you're done with all the doctor's bills and all the special treatments that they get. So
Right.
that's the difference.
So we had a restrictor plate race, which means we get a lot of new names up towards the front of the field. So before we talk about winners and losers, let me just go down the list. So AJ Allmendinger gets a third place finish in the 47 car. Casey Kane comes home fourth. He was right there in the running on the last lap. Chris Buescher, fifth place. Ty Dillon, sixth place with a car that struggled early. They had to restart the whole ignition system. Matt DiBenedetto gets a seventh place. Ryan Newman's up there in eighth. Austin Dillon, not surprising to see him running up there with a torn-up car. Still got a ninth place finish.
Yep.
Alex Bowman, 10th. Jeffrey Earnhardt, 11th.
Yeah, Jeffrey Earnhardt almost got that top 10.
I'm going to skip Brendan Gaughan because he's a restrictor plate guy. DJ Kennington gets 13th. Bubba Wallace, he was involved in a couple wrecks. The right side of the car was junk.
Yeah, he took a couple big hits and kept on going.
14th place for him. Ray Black Jr. in 16th place. JJ Yaley in 18th. And then we go down to the bottom. So Ryan Blaney finished 40th. Joey Logano 39th. Denny Hamlin 38th. Kurt Busch 37th. Brad Keselowski 36th.
The aces.
Daniel Suarez 35th. Chase Elliott 34th. Kyle Busch 33rd. William Byron 32nd. All those guys taken out in a couple of big wrecks. When they happen at the front of the field, that's what happens. Kyle Larson 29th. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's where that's where the aggression came in.
Yep.
that Stenhouse wreck took out all those guys.
Yeah. Well, that one big one, the first one was just.
Yeah.
I mean, it when you turn a car sideways, literally second place in the field.
Yeah.
Going into a turn, there's just nowhere to go. You're going to wreck a bunch of cars.
You played the clip at the intro of Brad Keselowski talking about it, and if you're Brad Keselowski, I understand. I feel like I understand Brad's frustration just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's so dang good at these restrictor plate tracks, and to be taken out by what he probably sees as incompetence.
Right. It's just so hard to put it on anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Even the Stenhouse deal, I mean, it's so hard to put it on anybody when you're talking.
Nature of the beast.
Let's put it this way. Here's the experience I have with racing restrictor plates, okay? NASCAR 2003 on the computer,
Right.
What, 10 years ago was probably the last time I played that game. And it's hard to do. And now let's do it in real life with other variables and just there. I'm telling you, it might seem like to these guys they can judge where the mistake was made, and I'm sure they can to a certain extent. But these wrecks are just going to happen when you're running that close. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, and somebody like Brad Keselowski, when you watch him race a restrictor plate race and you see how he blocks, how he's anticipating the pack coming. He is, in my opinion, he's the master right now. He is the best of the best. So when he gets taken out by somebody who's blocking probably at an inferior level, just because William Byron is young, he's gonna make mistakes. So
how many times has William Byron been on a restrictor plate track? Period.
Yeah, probably not even 10
right.
at the between all of the series that he's probably running. It's he's probably got iRacing experience up the wazoo, but yeah, for Brad to I understand. I guess I understand Brad's frustration on being taken out because he hasn't gotten a win yet this year either, and he's going to make the playoffs. He'll be fine, but he sees Daytona and Talladega, I think, as his like meal tickets to get victories. So he's had two rough Daytona races this year between this and the 500, wrecking in the same spot on the track.
Yeah.
So, bummer for him. But
this will piggyback a little bit off of the Brad Keselowski comment, and we'll talk a little bit about the Xfinity race on Friday night. Another pretty good race, lots of battling, big heck of a wreck at one point with Austin Cindric going for a tumble in the turn, which was one of the weirdest flips. Like, really...
Good spot to flip.
Like, he was like just trying like anything he could do to flip that car over. It was amazing how he managed to flip it. And so it comes down to the last lap. Kyle Larson and Elliott Sadler battling for second place. And here comes Justin Haley out of nowhere. What his second Xfinity Series start ever. dives to the inside, makes a brilliant pass, just clean as heck. I mean, miles ahead of him when he comes across the line, not even a challenge. Justin Haley wins the race, and I use quotes because he went below the yellow line. And I want to talk about the yellow line rule because we talk about this every restrictor plate race. And
I don't know how you're going to go on this one. I wonder if we're going to disagree here.
I think we are not. Well, I think we are and we're not. Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, he gets the win taken away. Kyle Larson gets the win over just a fraction over Elliott Sadler, who narrowly misses another restrictor plate race win.
By the way, NASCAR's Twitter and Instagram feeds were killing me because they were touting how close the finish it was for the win, and they had the slow motion cam on the start finish line. And Justin Haley just soars across the line, and then the caption's like, Larson barely edges Sadler for the win. It just killed me. Made me laugh. Anyway, sorry.
So here's the deal. There was a lot of outrage after this because it's the feel-good story. Justin Haley gets the win, second start, underfunded team, all this. Everything was perfect. But, I'll go back. We can find in history where Dale Jr. won a race at Talladega, I believe.
Yep. I've
going below the
that.
yellow line in a very similar fashion, and they gave him the win. But NASCAR made the right call by taking the win away.
Yes, they did.
The problem is not the call. The problem is the rule, which I freaking hate.
Yes, but
I hate the yellow line rule.
This is probably where we're going to disagree a little bit. Maybe. I don't necessarily hate the yellow line rule. It bothers me sometimes.
Right.
But you understand why it's there if you go back and watch some of the ridiculous crap these guys used to pull before the yellow line rule, and you think, okay, this makes more sense.
I get it. The thing is I feel like we're still going to have you're still going to have wrecks that are caused for the same reason. Because now you're going to have situations like Brad, who says, I'm not going to move for you. Justin Haley, next time somebody comes down, next time he passes somebody, he's not going below that yellow line. Now, he wasn't forced down there. It was totally his fault.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get forced down there again. Somebody tries to come across his front end coming to the checkered flag, he's going to wreck him.
Well, you see Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, Talladega.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was trying to pull the audio, but I'm not going to pull it. Here's the thing. Anybody who's upset in the team that was upset about it, Justin Haley was upset about it, NASCAR puts the driver's meeting video up online every week. And the last part of the video very clearly shows you with video, and it tells you cannot go below the yellow line. And it shows you what is too far across the yellow line. And per that, there is no way NASCAR could make another call than what they did. They had to take that one away. As disappointing as it is, that's the punishment, and that's what happens,
He had all the room in the world. He had there's no reason to go down there. It's such a bonehead move.
Yep.
Just stay above the line. He was fine. There wasn't even going to be a wreck. He was good.
Right.
So, I'm watching it right now on Twitter because I wanted to get another perspective on it here while we're talking, and I'm just looking at it thinking, what a bonehead. He had a whole half a car length up the track he could have went.
Yeah, there was lots of room. And
that's a bummer for him.
You're coming the line, the adrenaline's going. You're not even thinking about where that line is.
Yeah, but man, he went way down there.
Oh, yeah.
He went way down there.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. NASCAR made the right call. I don't like it in this instance. This is the Reagan Smith, Tony Stewart situation.
Right.
From Talladega back, 2008, I want to say. When Reagan Smith pretty much won the race.
It's Regan Smith, just so you know.
Regan Smith, David Reagan, Regan Smith. Thank you.
Just thought I'd help you out.
No, that's good. Thank you. I need that once in a while.
Gotta keep you in line, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's the same thing. Plenty of room. The bottom, all the drivers know what the rule is. They see it, just like you said. It just doesn't. It's I'm okay with it.
I hate the rule. I think the rule sucks. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it would be abused as badly as people think it would be if they got rid of it, but I do see where it would be abused, especially now that they've paved the entire inside of the backstretch of these tracks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you go down there, you're going to be flying through the air because the asphalt down there is so bumpy compared to the actual track. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I hate the rule, and it creates stuff like this. So I don't know. I don't have the answer on this.
I don't either. I mean, this rule never seems to really be that much of a problem until we have the big problem with this rule is when there's a finish like this. That's
Right.
when it really is a problem.
You know what
The
rule
rest-
I have a bigger problem with than the yellow line rule? The no pushing rule in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series on the restrictor plate tracks. That rule is stupid.
Yeah, that is a dumb rule.
It is completely stupid
Driver
because
drive.
you can take somebody out of a race for something they can't control. All you have to do is push somebody, and you just took them out of the race because they can't stop you from pushing them.
Right.
And so I don't know. I hate that. That one's
That's
going to
the-
affect
that's
somebody.
a worse rule.
Yeah, that one's terrible. It's not well thought out. When they changed the cars up the way they have and took the downforce away and all that stuff, they cured the problem without needing to take the pushing away, and they've left it there in those series, and it's stupid. So, anyway. With that,
We're going to get into that at some point. I was wondering where that conversation was going to go.
I forgot to put it in the notes, and I had to add it
I mean,
there.
No, I did too.
Yeah.
I'm glad we covered it.
There we go. So let's talk about some news items. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Daytona, is there? I think we covered
No,
everything.
congrats to Eric Jones.
Yeah, Eric Jones is a winner. So is Justin Haley. Oh, never mind.
And
Anyway.
Eric's name a lot different than yours, by the way.
Yeah. All right, so news items. Fox's ratings continue to plummet. This one you put on the list, James. You go ahead and talk about it because I have some comments about it when you're done. So
Yeah, this was we talk about I don't know if anybody wants to hear another ratings conversation. We talk about it from time to time. It's like it's just that time. But yeah, another big drop for Fox over this season, and Fox is trying to spin it positively, saying that they outrate any single NBA game or NHL game, and that's fine.
right.
But per race this year, Fox averaged just under 4 million viewers. That's down 19% from last year, where they averaged just a touch under 5 million viewers. And they're basically losing 750,000 viewers a year on average since 2016. So that is that's a problem. I think
Right.
that's a problem. Did you get a chance to read the article at all, Eric? And take a skim it?
I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we know. Yeah, that's the thing is we know.
That was my thing. Can we just add
Yeah,
this to the do you care part? Because I don't
this is the
care.
Do we care thing? I mean, I just see it as it's just a glaring problem.
Yeah.
With the TV ratings, but this is not just a NASCAR problem. I want to make sure that we point that out. This is all sports are having, all sports are having problems. It's a little bit more glaring in NASCAR though, and that is what is the scary part.
I'll be interested to see what NBC looks like at the end of the season.
NBC's first race was not that good.
Right. I'll be curious to see how it compares, because here's the thing. Like, I get this feeling from Fox. Fox to me feels like ESPN in that last year before they went away. Like, they just aren't putting the effort in anymore. I mean, when we get a rain delay, they quickly go to a rebroadcast of another race instead of doing their interviews, which I always thought were great. Their rain delay coverage was always excellent. They quickly switch to alternate programming. They rush out of, the end of races. Of course, NBC shoved everything to NBC Sports this week, which irritated me too. But I don't know. Just it really feels like Fox is phoning it in, and I know that there isn't any plan of them leaving anytime soon. But
no, they're good.
They really feel like they're phoning it in right now.
They
And so
love-
if that reflects in the ratings, it'll almost make me happy not to hate on Fox, and certainly not to hate on the guys that that are doing all the work to put it on. Nothing against those guys. It's decisions being made higher up than them. But it just really feels like NASCAR has become an afterthought, and it's been a slow decline on Fox since they got rid of Speed Channel and put in Fox Sports 1 and 2.
I think a big problem, too, is NASCAR signed these TV deals with Fox and NBC, and they took the biggest money they could get right out of the gate rather than going to the best provider.
Yeah.
And Fox is happy to have NASCAR at this price specifically for their FS1 network.
Right.
They need programming for FS1. They need live sports if they're going to be a standalone sports channel.
Right.
And they seem to be happy with FS1's performance. I see that they are, this article goes in, the article's on Awful Announcing, by the way, if you want to read it. But their
It's also
FS1
in the show
coverage-
notes on the website.
Yeah,
Check them out.
yeah, there you go. Very good. FS1's up 4% year over year, so they're seeing slight growth on that channel. Not a lot of people have FS1 though, and not a lot of people have NBC Sports Network either.
I don't
so
know how that is.
yeah, I
don't
don't
get
know
it.
either. Yeah, I know a lot of people go digital and they stream digitally,
Right.
and NASCAR seem to be pleased with their digital numbers this year. They're seeing some increases there, but
Gee, that should
still-
be a sign, NASCAR.
yeah, right.
Okay, so let me. All right, I'm gonna completely go off on a tangent here with a little story. I meant to share this last week, and didn't get a chance to. And was it? It was before Kentucky, so it would have been or not Kentucky, before Chicago. So I decided I went to Michigan, covered the race and everything. And it was really fun sitting there listening to the scanner and having that going and everything while the race is going on. And so I'm trying to watch some races live when I'm home. And so I was watching Sonoma, I think, live. And I'm like, you know what? I'd really like to have the scanner thing to listen to. So I looked it up, and I think it was $20 for the season or $30 for the season on NASCAR.com. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just get it. So I clicked on it, and then it told me, no, wait, it's halfway through the season, so now it's half that price. I'm like, oh, sweet, bonus. So I go through, and I try to subscribe to it. I go through it, finally click on everything, and then the freaking thing tells me I don't have a subscription to it. And it tells me this product isn't available when I try to click on the scanners from the one page, because it's switched from the old plan to the new plan now for half the season. And for some reason, it's not recognizing the switch somewhere in the middle. So I can't listen to it at all. I just paid for this at the start of the race so I could listen to it. Now I can't listen to it.
That's great.
So I'm like, okay, let me sign into the app on my phone. So I go in there and I look, and there's no sign of the subscription or anything like that. So I subscribe through iTunes. It's like, okay, I'll just do it this way then. So I subscribe through iTunes, and it works on my phone, but now I can't transfer that to the computer. I can't listen on the computer. I can only listen on my phone. And then I find out, oh no, I did pay for the computer version. So now I was getting it for half price, but I paid full price because I bought it in two freaking places because they don't have their crap together. It's like, oh my God, NASCAR with the digital stuff.
Yeah, it's 2018, guys. If baseball can get it right, for God's
Right.
sakes, can we please get it right?
I just wanted to listen to the scanner. And then their scanner used to, when you did the scan all, it used to at least say the number of the car before the radio traffic came up. Now it doesn't. So you just hear radio traffic. You have no idea what car's talking unless you recognize their voices. So that's kind of annoying too. But
Man,
anyway,
yeah.
that was my little tangent.
I don't know. If you could get the digital thing figured out, that would be fantastic. But
It would be awesome.
alas, they do not.
Yes.
So anyway, that's probably enough on the rate. We don't need to go crazy with ratings talk. We talk about it enough, and it's depressing every time we get into it. But
Exactly.
anyway, yeah, ratings are still not where they need to be, but let's maybe just keep an eye on it for NBC.
Yep.
Let's see what Dale Jr. can do. Let's give the second half of the season a chance, and hopefully fans are tuning back in. We got a couple exciting races back to back here, so
There you go.
it's a good thing.
Kentucky has history of having a good race too.
Yes, it
lately,
does.
Past few years, we'll see what
Been a
happens.
good part of the schedule.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Yep. So, there's a new Davey Allison documentary coming out Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
Tomorrow.
James, you can talk about this because I saw something pop up about it, and I'm looking at the article right now, which is the first time I've looked at it. So tell me what you know about it.
Yeah, so I saw late last week that Fox Sports NASCAR on Fox Twitter
After we
account.
just ripped on Fox.
I know. Yeah, well, it's going to be on FS1, so it's going to be I think it's a special edition of Race Hub,
Okay.
and it's basically the tagline for it is how a story of tragedy, how a story of tragedy turned into a story of victory.
Nice.
So, basically, hashtag Davey lives on. So what I think it's going to take a look at what his family is doing and maybe how they coped with his passing
Right.
all those years ago and what they're doing to keep Davey's name alive. I still think he's a pretty powerful figure in NASCAR, NASCAR lore. So,
I was just-
behind.
Go ahead.
No, I
Sorry.
was just saying just behind probably Dale Earnhardt, as guys who have passed on who have this kind of legendary status behind them. Davey's
Right.
one of those guys.
It's just such a tragic time in NASCAR, and it's interesting because something that a lot of people forget, because the Busch Series wasn't getting a lot of coverage around that time. It was that the year before Davey was killed, almost exactly a year before Davey was killed, his brother was killed at Michigan.
Yeah.
In a practice crash for the Busch Series at now Xfinity Series, and it just, it felt like, we knew about it a lot because we were at the track when it happened.
Yeah.
Of course, we weren't actually at the track; we were across the street at the campsite, but it just didn't. Now if somebody was killed in the Xfinity Series, it would get a ton of coverage, and it just didn't get much back then. And we lost a lot of drivers around that time, and there's a long period there. Davies obviously didn't have anything to do with racing other than he was flying into a racetrack, but I don't know. The Allison story is a pretty tragic story.
Yeah, it's tragic. Think about Bobby. He cannot remember his 1-2 finish with Davey at the 500 other than the pictures that he has and the videos. And you can YouTube. NASCAR media has done a lot of interviews with the Allisons over the years. And there's some great stuff that the NASCAR group has done, chronicling the Allison story. But it's definitely a story of tragedy. But hopefully this documentary that's going to be airing tomorrow night will sound like maybe it has an optimistic tone to the end of it. So
that would be good.
And we know how the story ended for Davey's life, but we don't really know how the story ends.
Right.
It's still going on. He's got a son and a daughter, and what are they up to? And I know his son is actually racing late models and things like that.
I think you're right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Davey's one of those guys. When I see something on Davey, he's kind of a showstopper for me.
Right.
If there's something on Davey, Alan Quickie, those guys, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna tune in. So I'm gonna be watching it tomorrow.
I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of cool people, especially the last couple of years in NASCAR and around the sport. And the coolest one I've gotten to meet still is 2011. I went to Jeff Gluck's tweet up at the Daytona 500, and the special guest was Bobby Allison, and
That's pretty dang cool, man.
I normally those types of things I might ask a question or something, but Bobby, I made sure to go up. He signed my ticket. It's hanging on the wall right next to me here, and I went up to him. I just shook his hand, and I said, Davey was my absolute favorite driver, and I said we sure miss him, and he said he was pretty special, wasn't he? He said so. Yeah, that was my moment with Bobby Allison. It's pretty cool.
That is a special moment. That is so cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Great. I love that story. I've heard you tell me that story a couple times, and it gives me chills. Love that story.
It was cool. It was definitely worth. That was my first tweet up ever, and it was definitely worth going to. I got to meet Landon Castle too, which Landon was pretty awesome. But obviously Bobby was the highlight. So.
Yep. Very cool.
All right, so we got a little Eldora news. I'll be going to Eldora in a little over a week to watch the Truck Series out there, and it looks like Ryan Newman's going to be going there as well. James is going to race for Jordan Anderson.
And the number 3 truck.
There you go.
The Rocket Man makes his return.
Yeah.
I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. Is Paul Menard racing too?
Well, Paul Menard's never racing. Let's get that.
Oh man, I am gonna get an interview with Paul Menard at Michigan for the podcast just to get under your skin. He might be the new co-host of the podcast, James. I might have to give you the boot for Paul Menard.
You'd be basically doing the podcast solo at that point. It's because let's be honest.
I'm telling you, man, I want to play his whole interview from Chicago in the media center after he won the pole. It was great. It was really good.
Maybe he's turned a new leaf with the Wood Brothers.
He smiled and everything, man.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted a picture today. Said the 21 car on track at the Roval test in Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
And I almost retweeted and said not for long, but I just left it.
Uh-huh. Bubba Wallace wrecked today.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, that first turn's going to be a doozy.
Oh, they're going to be doing some wrecking.
We'll
get to the Roval in a minute.
Yes.
Let's see. So Newman's going to run at Eldora. I don't really know much else to say.
Yeah,
as far as we know, it's the only Cup driver running, right?
That's probably the reason it's notable.
Yeah.
He ran the first one. We looked that up before we started the podcast tonight, and he ran really well. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But
I just don't.
Not the reason I'm tuning in. That's for sure. I'm going to be watching that sucker for the racing action, not because Ryan Newman's racing.
Right. I just don't know why. I don't know why more Cup drivers don't run that race. It's cool because it's the Truck Series thing, but I don't know. I just feel like more drivers would give it a shot.
I'm still waiting for Smoke to do it one of these years.
I don't think it's going to happen, man.
I don't think he's gonna do it. No, I don't. I just think that. I think it. He's trying. He's been trying to get Jeff Gordon to run the dang thing.
Right. I'm waiting for Kyle Busch to do it, but I mean, Kyle is the defending champion of the Prelude.
He's the last champion of the
Exactly.
Prelude.
That's what I'm saying.
Mistaken.
So why not get out there and run it, man?
He could do it.
I don't know.
He was good in those Scott Bloomquist cars.
I feel like a lot of it is just that these guys they don't want to go out there and look foolish.
Can you? I don't know if we can name the Cup drivers off the top of our head who have run in that race. I remember the Dillon boys.
Yep.
Obviously, Austin was the first winner.
Yep.
Bubba.
Yep.
Second winner.
But Bubba didn't race it when he was in the Truck Series. He raced it as he was.
Yeah.
Or no, I mean when he was in the Cup Series, he was part of the Truck Series. At the time.
He was still. Yeah, he was still. Yeah. So you think back, Brad Keselowski.
And see, Keselowski looked foolish, and I think Keselowski was the one that solidified it that we're not going to see many Cup drivers do this.
Yeah, and I remember asking him at that race. I said, "Hey, how do you like it?" And his response only was, "Well, how do you like it?" So
Right.
that told me right there he was not having a very fun time
Yeah.
racing on the dirt.
Yeah.
And Larson, obviously, he's legendary over at the. I'm still calling it the. Can we just say that calling it the Eldora Dirt Derby really sucks? The Mud Summer Classic was so much better.
Mud Summer Classic was pretty great, but I'm the Dirt Derby has won me over. The logo this year is great. I really do like the logo.
Oh, man. We're excited. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that race quite a bit.
Yeah.
And with you going down there, it's good stuff. So
definitely. Let's see. Supra, James.
I made an addition to the notes because I had to.
It's a Supra edition.
Yes.
We talked about it last week. I believe that there was rumor that it was going to happen.
Showed pictures this week, and I want to know, before I say anything, what did you think of the pictures of what that car is going to look like?
I think it's a sweet looking car.
Really?
It doesn't look like a NASCAR, but I think it's a sweet looking car. I like it.
Boy, it's terrible.
It does feel like Cars 3 is happening though. Have you watched Cars 3 yet, James?
I've seen Cars 3.
Yeah,
that'll be its own podcast at some point. Tune back in the off season.
I feel like the sports cars racing, in Cars 3 is becoming NASCAR. I thought it was a good looking car, man. Don't hate on the Toyotas.
That is the worst looking stock car I have ever.
Hold on, let me look it up again. It is not the worst looking. It's not as good looking as the Camaro was last year.
If you're gonna put a car out there in NASCAR, wouldn't you want it to look?
See, I'm ignoring the paint scheme.
It's pretty ugly.
Because the paint scheme is awful.
The nose is so straight. It looks like a speedboat.
That's cool, man. That's fast.
I don't agree.
Speed.
The only reason that car is going to be fast is because Kyle Busch will be driving it in the Xfinity. It's the only reason.
Maybe he won't be allowed to drive in the Xfinity Series next year. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's a bad looking car.
It's pretty bad.
Nah. You hater.
And there it is. I knew it was coming.
What a hater.
That's all I have. It's
better than the freaking Camry. I'm sick of seeing a Camry in the Xfinity Series.
I like the Camry.
I like the Camry too. I'm a fan of the Camry. I would buy a Camry myself, but it shouldn't be in with all the sports cars in the Xfinity Series.
Well, it's going to be all alone in the Cup Series here pretty soon too.
Yeah, not for long. The Supra's going to replace it there too.
That's so bad.
It will.
Oh, gives me chills. It's so ugly.
All right. Anyway, you're wrong as usual. So today the first batch of Cup Series drivers got to test on the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And didn't I add something to this? Oh, yeah, it's in my Do We Care. Okay, let's do the Do We Care first. Let's talk about the Roval, all right?
Yep.
NASCAR announces shortening the fall Charlotte race. It is now the Bank of America 400K. Originally, I think it was supposed to be a 500K. And so, do we care?
That's a 4. I love this new addition to the podcast. It really is. It's entertaining.
Do we care that the race is shorter? No, I don't think we do. I think all races should be shorter.
I'm glad that the race is shorter. We don't need a 4-hour Roval.
Riverside used to be a 500-mile race, I believe, when they raced it back in the day.
They could run this race as a one-lap shootout, and it would be as entertaining as anything else they could do.
Oh, man, you're really going to stack them up in turn one.
Heck yeah, they're going to stack them up anyway. You think those cars would survive 500K?
This is going to make Daytona look like it wasn't a wreck fest, I think.
Go watch Bubba Wallace take it hot into turn 1 by
Yeah.
himself and think about what's going to happen when they're actually competing against each other.
Right.
That's going to be that turn is going to be brutal.
Did I see do they have a wall all the way down the length of pit road now?
No, there's a gap, but they did put a wall up to cover that chicane.
Yeah, I see that.
Because you cannot, and that's artificial turf in there too, which is,
Right.
as I recall, that is the only artificial turf I have seen.
Yeah, we've
so
never
far.
seen anybody hit it yet. Somebody
Yeah.
slid through it today. I forget. I think it was
Chase
Chase
Elliott.
Elliott. Yeah, Chase Elliott
Yeah.
slid through it today.
Yeah, but they had to put a wall there. That chicane comes right pretty
Yeah,
close down.
yeah.
Pretty down close to pit road. So you gotta
I still am fascinated by the fact that they don't have walls on the inside. I
I
mean,
mean,
even
a temporary wall too.
I could see it at Chicagoland, I guess, because there's pretty good distance. I mean, standing on pit road, there's pretty good distance from the track to
Yeah.
pit road is a lot more than Michigan, for example, that does have a wall. But Daytona and Talladega, man, I cannot believe there's not a wall on the inside of that.
Well, I'm pro wall on these tracks.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I guess Daytona, I can see it where they need more space to spin because they're coming
Man, I feel like we're just asking for somebody to get hurt, doing a pit stop, and having a car slide on the pit road with no wall there. I just don't
It
like
can't
it.
be any more dangerous than what Michigan has with that. One, the victory lanes sticks way the heck out there, and now
Yeah.
they have the burnout pit. That's what I call it, the burnout pit at start and finish line.
Right.
And that's got to be, if you're sliding through the grass and that transition, that's got to be pretty dangerous, I would think. But
yeah, probably.
anyway,
So not a whole lot of info on the Roval other than Darrell Wallace
Drivers
Jr.
were-
crashed. They were they were cutting the chicane on the backstretch. They fixed that.
yeah, they had a whole bunch of drivers out there standing with their hands on their hips.
Yeah.
Um,
So it was delayed 2 hours today, I think, while they repaired that, and they extended the end of practice today. I think it went till 6 p.m. today.
Yep. There's really, and they have another test tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's the next test.
I don't think it's tomorrow. I think it's like next
Day after.
week.
Oh, that's right. They
'Cause
did a one.
They did
part, yeah.
half the cars this week and half the cars next week, or maybe it's a 2-day test for these guys, and then they have a 2-day. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I don't think they're testing tomorrow because they're pulling
you're right.
into Kentucky Thursday. The haulers come Thursday, so
Yeah, so they're going to be next week.
yeah. So
It's interesting.
yep, I'm excited. I'm optimistic that it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a disaster.
My impression today was I don't think the fans in the stands are going to have that good of a time.
No,
I don't think you can see for crap out there.
that's a
the camera
road
angles-
course. I mean, that's the way road courses are.
Right, but you'd feel like when those cars go through turn 1 and out into the middle of the track, there's like buildings in the way. You just
Right.
can't see the cars. They disappear,
Yeah,
which is kind of a bummer, I think.
I mean that's the way Daytona is, though.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. This race is still on my list of potential find a way at the end of the season to get out there to it. It's probably not going to happen, but if there's a way I can make it happen, I'm going to Charlotte. So I don't think I can make it happen, but who knows? Who knows?
We'll see.
It's
Yeah.
looming there. Charlotte and Indy are both looming. Like Indy's just teasing me because it's not very far away. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, in a few weeks.
Yeah. Speaking of, just distance, like driving distance, it's not bad to get to
No.
Indianapolis.
No,
So-
I made the trip from Myrtle Beach back to Freeland, Michigan in 13 hours. So
There you go.
it's less than that.
Well, I'm
So you
doing.
can make-
It's under 6 hours. I'm going to Kentucky. I'm leaving for there tomorrow after work, and it's going to take me 6 hours to get to my hotel from here. So
That's not bad.
nah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
It was 5.5 to Chicago, so.
Yeah, you'd be good.
There you go. So, speaking of that, it is the Quaker State 400 at Kentucky Speedway this weekend, and I'll be there, everybody. 3 days of NASCAR racing, Truck Series races Thursday night, Xfinity Series Friday night. Jeez. The Cup Series Saturday night. This night race thing is screwing me up. It's really going to screw me up Saturday when for Cup, they don't do anything during the day. There's one race on Cup race day, and it's not till 7 o'clock at night. So Saturday is going to be kind of twiddling your thumbs, wondering what the heck.
You're going to be hanging out in the fields.
I don't know, something. So we'll see. I don't know exactly what my coverage will be down there this weekend. I'm probably going to do the press box thing for the most part and live tweet the races. I might pick the Xfinity race or the truck race though and shoot it instead. depending on how everything works out. So we'll see what happens. There's obviously a lot of unknowns because I've never been to Kentucky before. So we'll see what kind of access I have and all that stuff. So
you're going to be a grizzled vet by the time you're done with this weekend. You have hit every other weekend so far
I
since
know.
Michigan.
I know. I love this summer stretch. It's been fun.
Yeah, you're crushing it right now.
So you have in the notes here, what am I looking forward to? Let me tell you what I'm looking forward to, all right? So Chicagoland has a pedestrian tunnel, but the pedestrian tunnel is in turn 1. So to go during the race, you have to walk all the way to turn 1 from the media center, which is in the center of the track, to go through the tunnel and then come up. And then if you want to go to the press box, you got to walk back to the center of the front stretch to get to the press box. Same in the other direction. If you want to go back to the media center during the race, they do have shuttles that'll take you, but I always find those to be a pain. I don't want to bug anybody to give me a ride and then have to wait around for the ride or whatever. So, or you have to cross the track. So Kentucky, I hear, has a pedestrian tunnel under the front stretch like Michigan, except that they have escalators on both ends and a moving walkway through the tunnel.
And you are rubbing your hands together.
How cool is that, man? I don't even have to walk. I can just stand there.
Yes, and your shoes won't melt off. Hopefully.
I know. I ordered some new shoes, James. They're right by me right now. I got to lace them
That's
yet.
fantastic.
I had to get some new shoes because I ruined the other ones. At
Chicago,
yeah. It's going to be hot down there again this weekend. 90s during the day, but in the evenings it's supposed to cool off to the mid-70s, so it should be comfortable for
yeah, it
racing.
should be good. Yeah, it's going to be a good race.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
That Cup Series race is going to be good.
Do I really have the first pick? Because I haven't even looked.
You do this week, yeah. I had the first pick last week, and I tell you what, I had the worst fantasy week of all time last week because all my guys crashed out in that one wreck.
I didn't pick again, so I don't even know who I had.
So in my other league, I had a 275 point lead.
Mm-hmm.
I was just cruising along, and now my lead is down to 32.
Nice.
That's how bad. That's how bad my Daytona was.
That's rough.
It was really bad.
How would you even pick? I mean, how could you even pick?
Oh, you just
never
draw numbers out of a deck of cards or something. I mean, there's nothing.
No way would you have gotten that.
No, restrictor plate racing is ridiculous. I would pick Jeffrey Earnhardt, honestly. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Right.
Anyway.
This is a really tough weekend because I don't know who to pick.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Normally you could probably say Keselowski is typically the favorite, but
I know I'm kind of leaning that direction actually.
But he's, his average finish isn't really that great when you look at it. This is probably Kyle Busch's playground, I guess.
Yeah, Kyle's gonna win it, so I mean,
it's gonna
be Kyle or Harvick.
Yeah, it's usually between those. Yeah, Harvick. Yeah.
Well, Harvick's never won here.
No, Harvick is. He has never won there. It's pretty much been Brad and Kyle's show, for the most part since its existence. Brad's got 3 wins in 7 races here. But only an average finish of 12.6. Kyle, on the other hand, has 2 wins, 6 top 10s, 5.1 average finish. So really, he's been the better performer of the two.
Well, I'm not going to take Kyle Busch I'm not taking any of the big 3. Not happening there.
Yeah, I think they're off our list for the time being.
Yeah. I'm not going to take Brad either. I'm going Joey Logano.
That's a good one.
I'm going Joey. He's got a Ford. He can run well. I almost went way off the reservation and went someone like Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy's never won there. But no. I even thought about Denny Hamlin a little bit. But
yeah.
I'm going to go. There's guys back there that are just chomping to have a chance, like Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez. I mean, they don't have great finishes here, but.
Yeah, but they're,
And I almost went Eric Jones and said he gets back-to-back. I don't see him coming back and winning this weekend.
Yeah, he could be rolling. He had, that momentum's a real thing.
That is true. I'm going Joey.
I was leaning towards Jones. I'm stuck between 2 drivers that I want to pick. But I will not be gutsy and take Jones. I'm going to go Kurt Busch to finally get his win.
I figured that was where you're going.
Yeah, I like Kurt Busch there.
That's not a bad pick.
No, he's pretty consistent. Not very many top 5s to be accounted for, but consistent.
Right. How about Dark Horse?
Yeah, I got the first Dark Horse this week.
You do.
Yeah, don't pick Trevor Bayne because he's not there.
Right.
Does Matt Kenseth count? No, he's got to win there. We can't count Matt Kenseth.
No, yeah. I don't know. You could. I'd say Matt Kenseth is Dark Horse. You could get away with Matt Kenseth.
Just because
he's
of the
not gonna win
theme
in that car.
I know he's definitely not going to win that car. Just because of the theme of this podcast, can I pick Ryan Newman as my Dark Horse?
You can pick Ryan Newman.
All right, Ryan Newman it is.
I am going to go Bubba Wallace Jr.
Oh, that's a good one.
Bubba Wallace, he ran there last year, did well there.
Yeah, he has a 11th place average finish, so that's pretty good.
There you go. So I'm going Bubba.
Bubba it is.
Going to a track he's been to before in the Cup car. He'll run well. He'll run okay. He's going to come finish like 30th.
Right. I think Ryan Blaney's our sleeper, though.
Yeah.
He's had 2 starts, and he's had 1 bad finish.
I don't know, man. Blaney.
There's just something not there for Blaney, right?
Something's not right.
So good at Daytona at the beginning of the year. I think we maybe jumped the gun just a little bit on him.
Yeah, something's not right there.
Yeah.
So, so Kentucky Speedway this weekend. I didn't pull the times that all the races start and all that stuff, but Saturday night for the Cup Series, I will have plenty of coverage again this weekend on thesuperspeedway.com. Hoping to get some interviews in as well, hopefully between this and Eldora. I will be at Eldora as well for the Truck Series race on Wednesday night. So there'll be all kinds of stuff on the website the next 2 weeks, or the next week and a half or so, or whatever, next week, I guess. So check it out, and we'll have some. We're hoping we're going to podcast Monday next week, so we should have an early podcast for you guys, and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you get a chance and you want to support us and get us to some more races, visit us at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. There's all kinds of different tiers there, different rewards you can get for supporting us along the way, and you'll help us travel to the tracks and get more coverage, get more equipment, all that stuff. This is all done out of pocket right now, so we'd really appreciate the support if you like what you're hearing. James, where can they find you on social media during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Again, the website is www.thesuperspeedway.com. We'll have all kinds of articles up there this week, maybe some audio. The podcast can be found there. The show notes can be found there, everything that we've done so far. I upgraded our SoundCloud, so we won't delete old podcasts anymore. So if you want to go back and listen to an old podcast, you can. Although we only go back like 6 right now, but we'll continue to add on. I'm looking to find a way to put the old ones back up without blasting them out to everybody again. So we'll see if I can do that. If not, I might just blast them out to you guys and just apologize beforehand. So I won't do it this week, so don't worry. But if you suddenly get flooded with old podcasts, that's why. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you listen to us today. We hope you subscribe. We hope you join us. It's going to be a fun couple weeks here as we get some action at the track again, and then I'll be back in Michigan in August as well. But should be my hopefully or probably last race of the season for coverage. So, James, anything else we need to talk about before we get on out of here?
There's some fun stuff going on Twitter right now. Real quick, Chase Elliott revealed his throwback paint scheme.
What is it? I'm curious.
It's his late cousin's car. He raced the Busch Series with it. Casey Elliott. He died at 21 from cancer. So.
Oh yes.
So, yeah, Chase is running that car.
I thought for sure that it was going to be a Bill Elliott throwback.
Yeah, it's a pretty slick-looking...
it's pretty good, but I don't like that it's
series,
blue instead of red.
It's the All-Pro Series, I should say.
Okay.
Not the Busch Series. But anyway, there's that, and then there's a hashtag Bob pick going around of Jimmy Johnson that I retweeted during the podcast. That is just classic Bob.
If you guys haven't... I discovered the hashtag Bob pick. Or Bob Pick or Bob Picks?
Bob Pick. P-I-C. Gluck retweeted him a little bit ago, and it's Bob Pick.
So I discovered this hashtag at Chicagoland, and basically Bob Pockrass, everybody loves to give Bob Pockrass a hard time. Bob is the greatest. You guys have heard us talk about him. He's the best. But he has a history of taking pictures of things with his phone and getting people with their eyes closed or getting like their backs, or they're just really bad photos.
And this Jimmy Johnson one is to the T exactly what a Bob Pick is all about.
Yeah, so definitely if you have not checked out Bob Pick on Twitter, it's worth checking out, and I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, go to my Twitter feed and just look at it's just...
See, I think it's Bob Picks originally. That's the one I
found.
Well,
yeah, and
Bob
that's
Picks.
Gluck might have messed up. Gluck went Bob Pick, so maybe Bob Picks is
maybe
the way
it is
to go.
Bob Pick.
Either way, just do a quick search. You'll find it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's good. I love it.
Yeah, that's what I'm about. I saw Bob tweeted. He said the drivers were in a hurry. So I don't. It's not a very good excuse, Bob. But
Bob's the best. I love
yeah,
Bob.
that's a good one. That's a great.
All right. Anything else on Twitter we need to know about before we head on out of here?
That was just it. Recording on Tuesdays has us just a little off on the news of the week. So
right. Yeah. Everything will break
that comes
tomorrow.
in live, we might have to break in once in a while.
Yeah. Everything will break tomorrow while I'm on my way to Kentucky. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, next time you hear from us, it'll be after the Kentucky race. We'll have all kinds of info for you. So again, check it out on thesuperspeedway.com. Until then, let's go racing.